Hi, I'm Mohana for BBTV, and you're on a special segment with us with a special guest. Our topic is called Conflict in Pakatan Harapan. As we always do, we're diving straight in and introducing our guest on screen. He is a former two-term parliamentary member for the Batu constituency, the Vice President of Parti Keadilan Rakyat, Mr. Chua Tian Chang, or better known as Tian Chua. Welcome to our show.
Hi.
Welcome to our show, Mr. Tian Chua, and on a very short notice, you are here. We thank you for your time here at BBTV. And to the viewers, if you've just joined us, today is going to be another hot take, and we're going to be discussing the current conflicts, the current contradictory statements from within Pakatan Harapan. And let's go straight into the questions with our guest, Ms. Tian Chua. So once again, welcome to the segment called Conflict in Pakatan Harapan. I'm very happy to be able to mention conflict in Pakatan Harapan and Tian Chua in one sentence. Not a lot of people will be able to allow us to say such a thing, especially in interviews and all that. But thank you. So I want to ask first and foremost, right? Tian Chua that we've known of is that we know about also is from Malacca, and currently. You're not holding any parliamentary seat. You don't have a adun seat or anything, and the election has been called.
Yeah.
Will you be running for a seat in?
I think that currently it's too early to talk because it's ultimately that's up to the leaders. But important thing is, since I'm from Malacca, I will continue to play an important role to campaign to help Pakatan to win the next. State election. So hopefully my experience and my knowledge will be useful to help Pakatans to gain victory.
Okay, but you mentioned it's too early, and I think it's already around the corner that it's time for them to be announcing. And based on your experience and the fact that you are from Malacca, do you think you would be a good candidate for PH to field in any of the one constituency?
I think currently what we are facing is a state election, and it is more important that we present a team, and it is not so much in individuals candidates. More importantly, is like we are offering a different vision from Barisan Nasional. We are not stressing that which individuals will be more important. But for me, whoever will be representing PH, I will support. And also that I believe that if PH regain the state government of Malacca, I would definitely have a role to play in the constructions and the contribute to rebuild Malacca.
You mean you will have a role to play?
No matter whether I'm in the government or I'm a representative as a legislator or not, it's not important. The most important thing is I believe that Malacca under PH will be administrated better than Barisan Nasional.
Okay, so since you've mentioned that Malacca under PH will be better administrated under Barisan Nasional, let's now go back to the previous by-elections that was held prior to pandemic. We don't talk about Sabah, we're talking prior to pandemic. Barisan Nasional's margin was from 4%, it rose all the way up to 38% throughout the elections. You know, their victory, the victory margin for Barisan Nasional. And a lot of people have mentioned, even the voters, Pakatan Harapan voters from 2018, and a lot of even opposition members and analysts, experts, they have said that something is terribly wrong within Pakatan Harapan, the fact that they cannot even win one, except for Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim's seat. Everything else seems to have...
To be precise, actually we won 4 by-election and we lose 4 by-election. Okay. So, I mean, it's a balanced thing. That also is a reminder that when we are in government, anybody is in government, we cannot depend on popular sentiment, we cannot depend on emotional appeal. The key issues is we have to deliver result. Yes, we agree that during the 2 years, some voters think that we have not up to our mark, which is something that we have to learn and improve ourselves and come back to present a more cohesive and more competent leaderships. I think this is part of democratic process. The Pakatan ruling period, it was not a full term, yet it is an important learning process for us. Similarly, it is also an important process of comparison for the voters. Yes, I mean, they were a bit disappointed with us, and there's a PN government, and now after Muhyiddin, there's Barisan National leaders. People can do the comparison. Personally, of course, I'm partisan, my view, and can be considered biased. I think if you compare, definitely compared to the three leaders, Pakatan's performance outdo all of them.
Okay. Sorry, it was my mistake to have mentioned that PH did not win any by-elections.
Yeah.
But again, going back to what you had said, that is it because the voters realized that PH was not performing well in those certain constituency or in terms of governing, or is it because it was a better messaging and strategy by Barisan Nasional that they had won?
It might be a combination of both. Okay. It is important that bear in mind when we are in government, it is not just a messaging. It has to be performance-based. So I think Pakatan is in a better position now, absorbing some of their experience previously, and also looking at the current situation. I believe that if we were to be given a mandate again, we will do better.
Okay, and by mandate you mean a complete 5 years, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Because I don't think it's fair to judge any government by just saying 22 months or 15 months or by saying the in-between by elections. It's just not right for any government, whether it's Barisan Nasional, Pakatan Nasional, or Pakatan Harapan. So let's talk about the strategy now. What will be the strategy now going into the state election for Malacca? How different is it going to be? Put aside the fact that we cannot put aside, I'm mistaken once again. Let's also think about the fact that we are in a still coming towards the end of the pandemic.
Yes.
And how different is this going to be? Because you will not be able to, like how Singapore did it, they were not able to do it how traditionally, conventional style and all that, right?
I think this is a challenge for all of us, and it is also up to the Election Commission to prove to the public that they will be able to conduct this election in a fair and transparent manner. I hope that the so-called COVID's pandemic control measure does not stop in restricting the spread of message to allow fair competition between the two, and also not to restrict campaigning. So we agree that the certain SOP, certain restriction for the sake of public health should be in place, but we want to caution that any attempt to use this to disadvantage the opposition should be judged. We should be able to avoid that. And I think the discussion with the EC is quite important. Malacca will be a test case because we can't use pandemic as an excuse to delay democratic expression. We cannot stop the coming election, whether it's next year or Sarawak. What is important is we have to put in place proper procedure of campaign at the time that both sides are given equal opportunity and equal access to reach out to the voters.
Okay, and let's just say for a second, because you were the chairman of Malaysian Productivity Council, you've worked as a special officer for JKR, you've got some government agency experiences when you were in the government.
Yes.
If you were the election commission officer or the chairman or its stakeholders, how would you do this differently? What kind of measures would you put in place so it will be fair for both parties to go out and campaign?
In general, we are already returned to normalcy to some extent. We have allowed more to be reopened, factories to open, and also dining for restaurants and school to come back. I think the same SOP must apply, rather than we create a new layers of restriction, like cannot do house to house, and we cannot have ceramah or whatever. Because as far as if you can have wedding, as far as we have a proper seating arrangement, as far as we have proper ventilation, as well as the codes on for contact tracing and things like that, then we should be allowed. And same should apply both sides. We shouldn't trying to also to restrict the spreading of information because we don't allow ceramah, but at the same time, TV in the mass media controlled by government continue to bombard with information that which is biased to certain parties that is contesting. So I think these are the things that can be done, and we need EC to show that they can be fair and impartial.
Okay, so you are just they have the measures in place. It's just about whether or not they're going to allow everybody to participate in the democratic process. Yeah. And we have to just hope the EC will be fair and square.
And I think the various parties will actively engage and dialogue with EC, and I hope EC will be open for this discussion so the SOP agreed upon by everybody.
Okay, and are the stakeholders from both sides already in communication?
I think they have. We have made the request to meet up with the EC, and in order to have dialogue and put forward our point of view.
It was a request by Pakatan Harapan to the EC, or was it a call from EC to meet?
I think the Pakatan has requested that. Yeah.
So if Pakatan Harapan had not requested such dialogues with the EC, they would not have initiated and...
I'm not sure. I don't want to prejudge. It doesn't matter. For me, the important thing is both sides must come together and discuss it.
Okay. Well, we really hope that it will be the other way around, and because we are already in 2021 and a lot of people are taking up initiatives to make lives better.
In fact, what EC should have done, I mean, this is a bit of a...
Yes, please tell us.
What EC should have done, even without a by-election coming, even without, they should have already prepared and should be already engaged the public, all the stakeholders, not just political party, but also the NGOs and other stakeholders on what is the best measure to conduct election in a fair as well as democratic way. So when there is election, all these things are in place, and we will just implement it.
And not doing it at the 11th hour when
it's
almost push comes to shove now, isn't it?
Because ECs cannot predict when it's going to be election.
Correct.
There is a call by the government. Right?
But it does. And it also means that they are not just working during election. They are fully appointed staffs who are already employed by the government, and they work even before election. And of course, we would expect them to have things prepared for the future. And it seems like they are only working at the 11th hour. I'm glad you actually said that, because this is going to be useful for me to know about your point of views when it comes to when we are going to talk about the next segment, which is the conflicts within Pakatan Harapan. And first and foremost, I'm going to be straightforward and I ask you, Mr. Tian Chua, that you are known as Dato Sri Azmin Ali's apologist, okay? And it seems like these are the chatters from public. We've picked up some comments from the media, social media. Some internal sources as well. They say that it seems like you are still close with Dato Sri Azmin Ali, and some instructions are being given to you, and that's the reason why you have mooted or proposed ideas for Pakatan Harapan or PK Parti Keadilan Rakyat, DAP, or whoever else that's in Pakatan Harapan to work together. So it seems that apparently that you are putting together a formation of another cartel within the cartel or something. So
I think
in your own words,
it's a total fantasy, because if that's the case,
sounds like it.
If that's the case, we should ask: is Azmin Ali trying to help Pakatan by putting all of them together? What nonsensical argument is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, I think totally unfair to say that I'm an apologist for anybody. I have been in the Reformasi movement. I have been fighting for the freedom of Anwar Ibrahim. I've been fighting to build a united opposition from day one, from 1998 until today. I have always been consistently advocate a united opposition, because you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that a united opposition is the way to go. Right?
Strongest opposition.
Yeah, a strong opposition, and a united opposition, when it comes to government, will provide a better leadership in governance and in the administrations that can execute the reforms that expire by the people. So I think this has been consistent, and I don't know why there will be other stories that created. As far as I'm concerned, these sort of stories come from the enemy of Pakatan Harapan. Okay. People who want to see split among ourselves, people who want to see there more conflict in the party, so that Barisan Nasional will forever stay in power.
Yeah, understand. And this is not just, I'm not just saying this because you are here for the interview during this time period because of the Malacca fiasco and all that, but this is because this is something that has been going on permanently from the time the cartel camp that they say had left. It's been saying, consistently, and because now you had voiced out your opinion and your idea for the upcoming Malacca election, once again that narrative cropped up.
Okay, I also have to clarify the other things. I was not part of the whole discussion to combine force with Idris Harun in order to build a new government which combine some of the defectors as well as the the Pakatan. It was a decision made by the Malacca leaderships. I assume that it was agreed by the national leaders. I don't want to go into that discussion about whether it's wise for us to do that. Now we have election coming. It is important for us to show a united image of the Pakatan Harapan. Why is it that people are sick and tired of Barisan Nasional, despite they have lost the last election? After that, now they are coming back to power, but they have not learned from their own mistake, that they continue to squabble among themselves. And the squabble is all for self-interest. It's nothing to do with rakyat, nothing to do with how do we execute a more effective governance. But what this is, you see all the conflicts happen. Pakatan has a different history. Although people might say, oh, you also quarrel, you also have a lot of disagreement, but we have to distinguish there's certain differences between the two. We come from various backgrounds, from various ideological bases, but we come together with one objective. We want to see this country to move forwards. We want to bring progress and reforms to the government. So our disagreement or our debate is more on how do we improve it. Of course, we have to learn how to articulate, how to understand each other, and how to move forwards. I think this is why we cannot equal the debate within Pakatan and the power struggles that happen in Barisan Nasional. So I think people must make that distinction. What I'm saying is, when we are facing Malacca election, Pakatan must be solidly united to make sure that we can regain the mandate, because this will be a key indicators of our support and our popularity among the rakyat.
Okay, so you mentioned that you assumed it was what the leadership of Malacca is talking about when it comes to working together with Idris Harun.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's just assume if that with Hassan Bhakti is no more in the picture. He's been, I think Pakatan Harapan has announced that they will not be wanting to work with him or absorb him.
You mean Noor Hisham?
Yes, Noor Hisham.
Yeah.
Bhakti, right?
Yeah.
The MP was previously with DAP. Okay, so now there's 3 left.
No, I think I don't want to get into the issues about whether we
will be
accept
absorbing
this 4% or not 4%. The issues in the next state election is Pakatan versus Barisan Nasional. How do we achieve that? There will be a lot of tactical discussion, which I won't say that every part of it will be I will be happy with or I will be agreeing with. But overall, I think the direction that we should move forwards is that we will show ourselves to be a united front. And I talk in a very general way. We must unite whatever force that we can, including those people who claim that they're going to be third force, or some of them who are not part of Pakatan. But we have to discuss with them, right? This is not the time for them to show how many percent third force will get, or how many percent that some new party that emerge will get, and let's try our luck with this. It is too early to do that. But we must appreciate their concern, and we must also accommodate their requests. I think if these forces are serious about want to bring change, want to bring new agenda to the country, we should be able to absorb their needs and prove to them if we are in power, we can implement those policies that advocated by whatever forces that are outside Pakatan. So I think this dialogue is important. If we can accommodate that, it is not necessary we have to sacrifice seats, or not, I won't say sacrifice, but give seats to some other forces in order to achieve that unity. But it is more important we show ourselves to be a united force. If you want to ask me specifically whether these four Adun will be standing under Pakatan banner or not, that one I think Pakatan leadership must discuss with them together and make a decision. But I would like to see whether they are being nominated as candidate or not. They will stand together with us to fight against Barisan Nasional. Partly also to show that they are sincere. They are not just about getting their seats, but they are truly with Pakatan. But I think if we say totally we discount them altogether, I think we show it to be a bit more arrogant than what it is. So I would not want to prejudge Pakatan leadership whether they want to re-nominate them as a candidate. I think that's something that the leadership will discuss in due time. But it is important. I think Pakatan have to show our openness to work with everybody.
Okay, so now going back to that suggestion that you had, that you said that should be open to working with everybody to go into the Malacca election. Okay, that drew quite a bit of flack, especially from YB Anthony Lok. He had said that we cannot be entertaining traitors. Period. So I want to know what exactly was your strategy, or were you just speaking generally to say that we can work with?
No, that's why I said it could be a miscommunication, because I never talk about I would say I never preempt the leadership from deciding whether they will field for them as PH candidate or not. I'm just talking generally that when people ask me what is the strategy to win Malacca election, I would say we have to accommodate all the people on our side, but not necessarily restricting to put them as candidates, and that is the winning formula. I would say it will be broader than that. There will be people who are discontent with us. They might want to work with us. They might want to ceramah in our public meeting. Okay. We have people who find they no longer identify with Persatu. They wanted to campaign for us. We have NGOs who may not be very happy with us, but we have to go and dialogue with them and explain to them why they need to work with us. There are many, and there are also people in Malacca, UMNO, who feel that this whole fiasco is created by UMNO, and they are no longer have trust in UMNO. They want to join PKR. I mean, we should welcome all this multi-pronged strategy. And what I'm saying is not something new. right? Pakatan has been talking about United Front. The latest concept that have been thrown out, which is something that we rehash, Kemah Besar. We want to have a Big Ten approach where people who are coming from various ideological background, political background can come together to bring about change.
Okay, so this is not so much different than what DAP had proposed before Prime Minister Ismail Sabri had
that's why I say
right?
it could be a miscommunication. It could be also media want to highlight the differences, which make it more juicy story. But in general, as I said, I have no conflict with Anthony Look. I have respect for DAP stand. They have every right to say who they want to accept as candidate. But in the process, I don't think that what I say contradict to the general philosophy of Pakatan Harapan.
Okay, so that was the conflict that we were talking about, but that is DAP. And I came up with the title of Conflict of Pakatan Harapan to interview you. It was just between Anthony Loke, YB Anthony Loke, and Mr. Tian Chua of Parti Keadilan Rakyat. But today, the chief of AMK and the Johor Bahru MP, he has also said, he's a Keadilan member, and he has also said that it's a Machiavellian logic that Tian Chua wants to put forward. So
I haven't read the statement, but I don't understand what Machiavellian is so Machiavellian about. As I said, whatever I advocate is a party line. It is, I'm an elected vice president, and I have been the founding members of Keadilan. I understand the philosophy of Keadilan, and as I said, Keadilan has been advocating two main, two main principles. One is that we have to be inclusivity within the party, right? We come from we come from various backgrounds. Keadilan is formed as a multiracial, multi-religion, multilingual, and lots of
a Malaysian party.
It's a it's a Malaysian party which I won't say the other party are not Malaysian party, but I'm just saying that we are more inclusive compared to others, and we tolerate and we debate about policies internally, and therefore we can be a strong party that representing all backgrounds, Malaysian of all backgrounds. Two is that we always advocate united front with other party. We know when Keadilan was formed, we are not so strong. Our brand name is relatively new. Therefore, from day one, we advocate cooperation with PAS, with DAP, with PRM, and whatever party that there. Along the line, every elections, we have worked with various forces, including PSM, including Parti Rakyat, and many other parties. That's been consistent. And again, it was proven that when we have united opposition, we gain big, right? 1999, when we were united under Barisan Alternative, we did well. Okay, I mean, not well enough to take over the government, but we did well. 2014, we split up. So we did very badly. Okay, 2008, we reunite and we took over 4 states, right? Luckily, in 2013, we strengthened our unity. We achieved the sustainable majority. In 2018, when we unite with an even broader opposition front and we create the tsunami that changed government. I think that's being consistent. So I don't see any elements of Machiavellian in it. The whole reason for that is not that we want to grab power. The whole reason for that is we want to be able to include aspirations of various Malaysians of all walks of life with different ideological persuasion, but we all share one thing. We want to see progress. We want to see a democratic culture implant into this government. So we have to start from the party itself, accommodating differences, to our ruling coalition, where we can accommodate differences. So I don't see that's Machiavellian.
I get
right?
you, I hear you, and I'm glad that you and I are having this conversation, this dialogue today, and I hear you. Now, going back to what we mentioned earlier about the EC always working at the 11th hour to come up with something in terms of election at the moment.
Yeah.
So why is the opposition only talking about, from perspectives and from the surveys that we've conducted, it seems that the opposition, Pakatan Harapan, is only talking about uniting everybody whenever it comes to situations such as this. Prior to this, it was about, I think the only time prior to this election, the other time that the opposition was strongest in this year was when they were rooting who is going to be the next PM.
Yeah.
And then now. So only these times that you hear about the opposition being the most united opposition, the unity or government slash Kema Besar and all that. So why is it also only at the 11th hour? And you spoke about progress, but I see that only at times like this, we hear about the opposition is working together. Besides that, it seems to be conflict of interest and contradictory messaging. And once again, it goes back to the communication. Even your own party member had released a statement and you were not aware of it until I mentioned it to you, right? But he's from your party and you're the vice president for the party.
Yeah, I think, I agree with this perceived to be we only united when it seems that we're facing common challenge. But that's also quite natural. When you have an enemy in front of you, then people tend to unite. Okay, that is nothing unusual about that. But I want to also clarify that it is not true that we only unite when we are facing election or we want to wrest power from the other side. But in the time that we are not undergo testing, a test like election, or there is a referendum or vote on who will be the prime minister, they tend to be, we have differences. But that's quite natural, because in wartime, we were not trying to highlight our differences. In peacetime, we must be taking that opportunity to iron out differences. So I think that's a natural process. We do not assume Malaysians are all the same. We don't assume that every political party asks for the same thing. Every political parties have their own peculiar perspective on things. So in normal time, our coalition structure was not dismantled. We have Pakatan Presidential Council almost every month. We have the opposition's office coordinate with various opposition, including those who are not in the Pakatan coalitions, to talk about common parliamentary strategy. In issues that we face commonly, when we meet up, whether it's foreign issues like Palestine, or issues about our national sovereignties, or issues that to do with management of COVID, opposition discuss. And at times we have joint statement, at times we have joint forums, and these are way for us to to exchange differences in order to reach consensus. I think that's quite normal. So I don't think we should be to be too much focused on we are united only in election time. But in fact, even non-election time, when the public is not under the highlight, we are still processing and trying to work out common stand, trying to work out consensus. Well, maybe you can say behind the scene, but this is an important process.
would it be better if these things are now thrown in front of the scene? Because from the time...
That's why with this, when you throw in front of the scene, the public is going to say, see, why are they quarreling all the time? So I think that's why the public also have to learn, this is probably what democracy is about. If Amanah and DAP have disagreement, right? We will discuss within our forum. But maybe the media pick it up and say, why not two of the side and your debate about it? Well, in the name of transparency, we'll debate about it. But we should also learn that that doesn't mean that we split. That just means that we are mature enough to be able to debate this thing openly.
Okay.
So I think as our democracy progress, we'll see more and more of this. And I'm glad in the recent month, even the previously ruling parties, whether it's from Bersatu, PAS or UMNO, we already see more divergent in views. And sometimes you will find some of the UMNO leaders advocating something that Pakatan agree. Sometimes some of the things that Pakatan say, even UMNO or Bersatu will agree. So I think this is part of the maturing process. And as the people of Malaysia, I think we should be glad to see these trends continue.
I agree with you when you said that there are times, in recent times, when UMNO leaders agreeing with what Pakatan leaders are saying, Pakatan leaders agreeing with UMNO leaders. I actually paid close attention to this scenario, this experience, when it was in that week where they were deciding who should be the Prime Minister. And there were a lot of calls from the UMNO side, especially from the youth. There were a lot of chatter open on public channel, Clubhouse, we call it, Clubhouse and Twitter space and all that. UMNO leaders, former UMNO leaders, who are all also advocating for Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim to be the Prime Minister, to be the best choice of the Prime Minister, to lead the country out of the pandemic, to bring back into the economics, to bring the economic back on the right track again. So I completely agree with you, and I know there are sentiments and there are people out there who agree with what you said, and there are leaders out there who would like to be more matured moving forward. We spoke to a couple of leaders also regarding the same Dun election and all that. Some of them also gave the same reasons like you, behind the scene or on camera also. So now, what if this dialogue with opposition leaders for now, I mean your opposition, your counterparts, if they become a permanent agenda moving forward to GE15, instead of only coming again, once again, when it comes down to this only, we get to hear this kind of chatters. Can this be like a permanent agenda?
I think it's already happening because with thanks to the advance of the media technology, I remember those days, maybe before 2018, if a media like yours or even some other independent media, they will be labeled as opposition media. Not because they are choice, because every time they invite, opposition will come. Correct. And then the government say, Tian Chua is there, sorry, I'm not coming.
That's right.
So
and we will not be allowed to go up to UMNO building.
Yeah, you are not allowed to get both sides of the story. Then, in order to continue, you have an opposition sitting there, blah, 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 talking about how great they are. So now, I think the good thing is now, both sides have to start competing for this space. Okay. So this is become a permanent feature. I would say media become empire that can bring both sides together and debate. And you create the issues, you bring us out, and whoever don't want to answer is our own loss.
That's what I'm saying again. It's the media creating the issue, the platform is one thing. That is something that we need to continuously do to understand what's happening on the both sides and present it to the people. Can it be something on paper as a national agenda where we can achieve not a wartime cabinet only during wartime?
No, I think this is coming out. I would say that each of the party already starting to groom their spokesperson, maybe younger and maybe more articulate. When the 18th voters coming in, I would say that those people who just going around shake hand and giving hamper is not going to be the only choice for the people. So there are a lot of other newer, more articulate, that can bring the narrative that people accept is going to come out. So it's cut across the board. This is equal for both sides. It is not just that who has advantage. Maybe being opposition, we are more used to it, but then at the same time is media technology change so fast. If we don't catch up, maybe your opponent will catch up ahead of us. So this is a warning for everybody, and I believe that all parties are aware of that. And if you look into the party internal communication policies, they may not circulate to the public. I think most of the parties are already giving that type of advice to their leaders and potential candidates.
Okay, then in that case, if that is already in the pipeline amongst all the different parties, why not apply that now for the upcoming election?
I would think that the upcoming election, if media invite either sides to come, whichever don't come, is actually at their own loss. So I would think that there will be a lot more of that. I would also think that maybe what it needs some adjustment is that the mainstream media must also start adjusting, because otherwise the independent media is going to get more traction, and they will get more viewer, and people will start shifting away from watching the boring lectures from one-sided stories from the government propaganda machine to a more colorful and more attractive media. So this is a green field that we and I would say it will be an exciting thing.
Okay, so YB, I think we are at the end of our segment. I've just got one very last important question. It just doesn't come just from me. It comes also from I will tell you after this. But now to wrap up the segment, wrap up the title. So it seems like there's no conflict in Pakatan Harapan.
I won't say there's no conflict. What I'm saying is that conflict is part of something that we have to handle, right? We cannot create a society that has totally no differences. We always have conflict, whether it's in between class, between gender, between ethnicities, and between different professional groups, etc. But what we need to do is Pakatan, especially PKR, as a pluralistic, inclusive party, learn how to use our mechanism to resolve it. So I have full trust in the mechanism we have. The parties that join Pakatan Harapan come in as equal partner. Nobody dominate the other sides, and we come in to discuss and to reach consensus, and we take responsibility for the decision we make collectively. So I think this is a good mechanism, and I would say we offer to the people that if this is being translated to a government administration culture, that will be the most suitable model for us to run this government with a country with a society with full of pluralities. So that's why I would still think that Pakatan is a better bet for the future.
Okay. I hope the viewers are happy to know or happy to hear the answers from Mr. Tian Chua, who has been taking quite a bit of arrows in the last couple of days. Everyone keeps saying that he's working against Pakatan Harapan's and beliefs. All right. So it was a good answer, YB. It was really nice talking to you. Now, the final question. The Batu constituents are wondering, will you be returning to the parliamentary seat to run in GE15?
Well, if you ask personally, I would wish that I would get the opportunity to serve the people in Batu again. Then again, I would say that this is a collective decision. It has to be made by the party's leadership together and taking into various factors. Whatever I say, this might be my subjective view that I see from my perspective, but I'm sure the leaders will take in other consideration and they will make the best choice for the next GE. Okay,
and just to follow up on that, have you visited your old constituents in recent times?
Well, I've been constantly active in in the grassroots of Batu, because there are a lot of people who are familiar with me, and they continue to seek help from me, and also to get to want me to continue to interact with the society, even as a friendship level I maintain. So I would think that the people are very familiar with me.
Okay, YB, future YB hopefully again. Once again, Mr. Tian Chua, thank you so much for your time with us. And to the viewers, there is conflict in Pakatan Harapan, but in a gist, it's diplomatic and it's still manageable, and it's something that needs to be there for the democratic process to continue, and for us, for Pakatan Harapan, and for the rest of the people who has voted for Pakatan Harapan to move forward happily ever after, I would say. Okay.
Thank you.
We would hope to catch up with you again on the ground in Malacca during the election to speak more about choice of candidates and whoever that after they have announced it. Once again, we thank you so much for your time here at BBTV. My name is Mohana. You have a great evening ahead.
Thank you.
Once again, Mr. Tian Chua, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.